Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 140 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron.
Hi.
And that's it. It's just us. We're two-man in it this week, and as you can probably tell that I'm sick, so we're probably going to keep this a short one before I lose my voice. Although we say that all the time, and it never happens.
This isn't happening. I can talk your.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fine. Yeah, you can do my bits. Oh, fuck, I forgot the community question, but we'll get that in a second.
I already put the community question.
You did? Thank you so much, Cameron. You're onto it. As always, we do the show live on Twitch, so I can't edit around my fuck-ups. Xbox Hall of Gamers is a place to find us. Come say hi. We got Bulbasaur in the chat telling us that we sound great, which, you know, he's a liar, but I appreciate it. So come say hi. Hang out. You know, throw us some fucking Twitter. Give us your Prime or whatever it is. I don't fucking use Twitch. Let's get straight into our community question. We got a really good one this week. It's from guess who? It's from Isaac, who says, hey guys, with Game Pass having such a great collection of games and new ones being added all the time, are there any games that are not coming to Game Pass that you're still interested in picking up? How does having to pay full price for it affect your feelings on the game? Thanks for the show. Thank you for the question, Isaac. It's something that, it's funny actually. I've been having this kind of discussion and thought quite a bit recently as we kind of Xbox moves into this all third-party digital future thing. They want everything on Game Pass, and now also one of our news stories talks a bit about this new Game Pass tier that they've kind of launched, the Game Pass standard, and what's kind of happening there and how that might change how people feel about things. But I don't know. Initial thoughts, Cameron? I mean, you play
right, very brazen of you to assume that I pay full price, Mr. Question Extraordinaire, Isaac.
Yeah, fair.
I like the five-fingered... No, I'm kidding.
I mean, you are Australian, so I mean, that might have just been assumed.
Look, if you take the mentality that every game that hits Game Pass you would have purchased in a previous life anyway, you're always coming out on top.
I mean, you're
always in credit, you know?
You're kind of joking, but I see what you mean, right? Like, I think that in terms of... like, our backlog libraries are insane, but we're insane before Game Pass was a thing, really, right? Like, I think that we purchased a lot more games before Game Pass. We're not the typical consumers, for sure, but I think that, like, 90% of my backlog is just stuff that I picked up that was on sale. And, like, yeah, like, I very, very rarely pay full price for any game, because I'm, first of all, very patient.
This is why I'm like a physical consumer, because like sure. I will always go where it's cheapest. I get the digital inconvenience, but if I can pick up a copy of a game for $5 compared to like $50 digitally,
oh yeah,
where do you think I'm gonna go?
No brainer.
Which I mean, like we can have a discussion about the PlayStation Digital and all that tonight, like whole bunch of stuff. But like my mindset with this kind of stuff has always been like, all right, I'm getting a bunch of games that I'm going to play now because of Game Pass that have already stuck out to me. But then I've just got extra room in my wallet to buy a few other games that I'm interested in now. Like, it just depends. Like, my biggest problem is buying stuff that I don't get around to
until it comes to Game Pass, which is the other bit, right? How many times on the show have we been like, oh man, I picked that up like 6 months ago and now it's on fucking Game Pass and I haven't even played it yet.
The only time it's really nice is when it's like Riders Republic, where it's like, all right, when I was playing at the start, there was like mass races of like 50 different things you have to complete.
Yeah, right.
Whereas now it's like, all right, servers are going to be boosted. I'm probably going to re-download it now to actually get that achievement out of the way.
Sure.
If it's just a single player experience, it's like, oh damn it. But
I mean
9 times out of 10, I'm going to get something that I didn't have already.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've spoken about back in the IGS days and on this podcast around how I became a lot more militant about like not buying new games. Like I cut myself off and I was like, I need to stop just filling up my backlog with mostly trash. I would check every single deal every week and just be like, oh, what's some easy games that I could check on that I don't really care about and just kind of boost my score up a bit. And like, so I found a couple of good gems and a couple of fun games, right? But most of those are kind of forgettable, not that great experiences. And I feel having cut those out and just not bought them, I've saved a shitload of money to start with. But second of all, I don't really feel like I've missed them, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what I've purchased recently. Like I purchased a few games recently that I haven't even ran through yet.
Yeah, I picked up.
I bought Cyberpunk today, thinking that I had thinking that I had it physically,
Right. I
but
mean,
I had a digital
it's
copy.
on sale at the moment, I think, actually, as well.
Yeah, like half
Yeah,
price
which is
down
pretty good.
to 45.
Yeah, so I think that it, in terms of how it makes me feel about buying games, it is hard when a game comes out at full price and you're like, I could buy that game, but that's one game, or I could save the money and put it onto Game Pass and play a bunch of games. And like, so it needs to be like a really, really, like, and there needs to be usually a bit of zeitgeist, or I need to be really, really hyped about something to want to spend full price on it. I'll usually,
There,
if I'm going to buy something that's not on Game Pass, I'll wait for a sale.
yeah, there's definitely games that I've seen like recently that I'm just like I would like Plucky Squire, for example. I'll
Yes.
play that day one. Even though it's on Game Pass, that would be the type of game that I would buy outside of
Yeah,
like Cod of Lamb's a great example.
sure. I mean, I've still never bought that or played it because again, that was one of the ones that I was convinced was coming to Game Pass. Like, so many of these
Mm.
kind of larger indies or smaller double A sort of studio games, they usually have the idea of like that's the kind of stuff that Microsoft wants to acquire because they can get it for cheaper than AAA, but it still has like some like brand recognition and buying power to try and get people onto the system. You know, like I'm playing Lords of the Fallen at the moment. Like the minute that game came out, I was like, that is a Game Pass ass game. That thing is coming to Game Pass at some stage,
Yeah.
and it fucking did.
And it wasn't until what was it? I got it gifted to me for Christmas from Nikita.
Yeah, it was what it came out
And I
what
think that came
last year October.
October. Yeah. And I was just like I want to play this now. I
Yeah,
want to, like the biggest problem I have with Souls-like games is the co-op systems, and I think Lords is probably the one that's done it best. In all
agreed.
honesty.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Lords came end of May, so I was like, yeah, it
Yeah.
was kind of yeah 6 months ish roughly.
Funny to
6 months.
think of like Callisto Protocol and all that, those kind of games that got articles as well.
Yep, another
Like, oh,
one.
it's not coming to Game Pass, and then
It fucking
bang.
does. Yeah, and like Immortals of Avium and Atlas Fallen, like all these kinds of like smaller titles, like
Hmm.
double A sort of studios.
EA Ultimate stuff is different to me just because of how like it's expected as much as
That's
like
true.
like
Yeah,
as a Xbox title coming to Game Pass.
yeah. No, that's a very very good point. Yeah, but it is hard for me. There are some games, like there's a couple of games I'm sitting on right now that I'm like, because I really want to pick up the new. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but the new Castlevania collection. You know,
Yep.
and I don't think that's going to come to Game Pass anytime soon. It doesn't seem like Capcom has kind of been a bit iffy with stuff coming to Game Pass. The older collections didn't come over,
Mm.
so I probably will just pick that up. But I'm probably going to wait on a sale. Like as excited as I
I
am for it, I'm still going to be like I want to save a little bit of money on it. Like because I
think
don't need to play it in a second.
outside of Resident Evil, I think you're going to be pretty hard come by with
You get some
Capcom
Monster
stuff.
Hunter sometimes too, but yeah, Resident Evil really
Oh yeah,
seems.
true.
But
Yeah.
Resident Evil really seems like. Sorry, yeah, Konami. Yes, sorry, Konami. I was thinking Capcom because my other game that I was interested in was the Ace Attorney games. So I picked up the original Ace Attorney trilogy, ages ago. Actually, I think I won it. I fucking won it on the original RGS actually back in the day. Um, that came to Game Pass eventually, and then they've released the second collection and now the third collection, and I'm like, those I'm like those will definitely come to Game Pass at some stage, but I actually really really want to play them, and so I may just pick them up because they're not full price titles, but they're also not. I don't know, like it is hard. Like Game Pass has definitely changed my perception of what I should be spending my money on in terms of like games and when I have other things to play, I have other backlog. It's hard to justify buying new games.
Yeah.
But when I do, I've been trying to really be like, okay, when I buy these games, I'm gonna finish them. I'm not letting them go into the backlog, which is what I did with that Digimon game and what was the other one that I was playing at the same time? Saints Row. I picked up Saints Row and Digimon because they were like really good sales for both of them. They were both not.
I think the problem there is you need to go for the good games and not.
Yeah, but the thing is that most good games that are like have any kind of traction behind them will end up on Game Pass, so I'll play them there. And
Yeah.
like Saints was one of those ones where I was like, this it just was taking too long, and like it'd been forever, and then Volition got shut down, and I was like, you know what? Like I think it was all like 75% off. It was like basically giving it away. I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And Digimon was a similar case where it was just like that's definitely not coming to Game Pass, too niche. But
I'm
yeah,
trying to think of like good examples of other ones. I I don't know about you. I've kind of had the mentality lately too. Like, this is probably going to come out wrong, but I like Game Pass because we get all these newer games than that, right? But I kind of wish we started getting some older catalog stuff in as well,
I
like
was
stuff
thinking
that
this.
we've missed.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing actually. Like, especially with this change to like Game Pass Standard, which we'll get to in a little bit. It would be really nice to see some of the older catalog kind of get a bit of a boost. And I know
Like
Microsoft is.
I'm talking ID at Xbox, like
Yeah,
Xbox One generation stuff.
sure. I mean, I would say even like early Series X stuff. Like again, we're 4 years into a generation here, right? There's a lot to pull from, and I know it doesn't always have like the best staying power or the best marketing behind it, but Microsoft probably still need, like they could definitely use a few more games. I mean, we'll talk about it when it comes to like what's coming to Game Pass this month. We don't fucking know. Like, there's really not much.
There's been a few months this year that have just been like really.
Their messaging has been quite light, and like part of that is because they're trying to center things around events, and again, we'll talk about that as well. But I don't know. It does feel like.
Like we'll get something during Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah,
Show.
100%. That's, yeah, 100%. We'll get something.
That's the end of September, and then it becomes a conversation of like, all right, all of September, what do we get? We got Riders Republic, we got
Star Trucker, we got Age of Mythology, and we got this Mud Runner game, and that's pretty much
so
it.
yeah, okay, we have got a few.
Yeah, a few games, but I think that like they're not messaging as much around what's coming up, and it makes me wonder if it's just like, are they still working things out behind the scenes, or is this kind of their new strategy of saying we only show you what's leaving every 2 weeks, and we only show you what's coming every 2 weeks?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Don't.
But thank you for the question, Isaac. It's a really interesting discussion around kind of how the value of games have changed for a lot of people. I'd be curious to hear what other people are saying, and other people are thinking across the game sphere in terms of like what are people.
The last thing I'll add to this
Yes.
is I've been buying a lot of DLC lately because of the themed month.
Yeah, true. Yep. Me too. I'm probably going to pick up a few DLC packs. Looking at the Bloodstain, just got that DLC a little while ago. Probably going to pick that up.
Like Bloodstained Curse of the Moon?
No, Ritual of the Night.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was like, has there been one that I've missed? But yeah, like I've been buying Power Wash. The biggest mistake I've made this week is not realizing that Power Wash is not local co-op.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. I mean,
No, it's only online co-op.
haven't
And I
played it,
bought the SpongeBob pack for Percy and me to do together. And
No, you guys have to just take turns with the controller, I guess.
yeah, pretty much it.
Is that game difficult? I don't know. Like, I keep hearing kind of conflicting reports.
I think it's meant to be like more of a Zen kind of experience, like just
Sure. Like, I like chill out experiences, but I don't like chill out
it just
experiences
becomes a lot
mixed with
long,
fucking, hey, get gold medal on this.
yeah. No, I don't think they're difficult. It's just it's a speed thing. But I've only been doing the DLC. I don't know if the main campaign's a bit.
I mean, I got through House Flipper, and that's like one of the most zen games I've ever played in my entire life. So,
yeah.
all right. Well, let's get into the news then. I grabbed a few news stories. Cameron grabbed a few. We're an Xbox podcast, but we have to talk about it. Sony announced the PS5 Pro, and it's going to cost you $700 and it doesn't come with a disc drive.
$700 US is fucking nuts.
It's crazy, right? That is an insane amount of money. I mean, look, it does look very powerful, and even the guys at Digital Foundry are like, it looks, for what you're getting for $700 is pretty impressive. But at the end of the day, you can only play PlayStation games on it.
Yeah, going into like next generations and that kind of stuff. Okay, breaking this into multiple different news stories. Multiple different aspects. First thing is, who wants to spend $700 US on a console?
Sure, on a mid-gen console.
Yeah, on a mid-gen, like do we need mid-gen consoles? At which point you just have to call it and say, all right, where is like the high level cost in a console market versus the PC market? Because I'm just like, all right, if I'm going to spend $700 US on a console anyway, like why not just spend $1,000 US on building like a somewhat decent PC?
Yeah. I mean, the Digital Foundry stuff, I don't know. I've been hearing conflicting reports, and again, it's still very, very early. They only just announced it. But they were comparing this to like a 4070, which, you wouldn't be able to get a 4070 for $700, right?
Which I just bought a 4070.
They're fucking expensive.
Yeah.
So like
It's not.
from that perspective, I get it, right? Like they have, if they can get the true power of something like a 4070 out of a machine like this for $700, I can see maybe the value, right? Like I can understand, like if you were just looking at it horsepower to horsepower, like you couldn't build a PC with that in it for 700
See,
bucks. It just wouldn't happen.
you say value though, but wasn't like the list of games that could, get the benefit from the PS5 Pro like 10 to 15 games long?
Of course, but that's the thing, right? Like that, I think like value is different for different people.
Yeah.
Like, it, but I'm with you. I think that's what's kind of going to be my next point is that what's actually available to make use of this versus a PC, which can you can crank up just about any game on a PC. Whereas PlayStation 5 Pro, you're going to need to have this upscaling on it only for certain games. Developers are going to have to do some work to port the stuff in if they even care. I don't know. It does seem like a weird move, right?
I honestly, the biggest like FU to consumers to me is like the digital only machine, but I know that's where the future's heading, and I
Yeah,
don't like it. I only don't like it from a consumer kind of view where I can be like, all right, a disc can go on a heavy discount, and I have options then.
for sure. And again, they are selling a disk drive with this. It also doesn't come with a stand. You have to buy the stand separately as well, which is weird.
Yeah, I think the stand's like $30 US, the disc drive's like $80 US.
I mean, that's
So
not
all up, if you decide to go that route, you're spending like $810 US.
a lot of money. That's not going to include tax either, I assume. Oh, it might do.
Where I can just spend my Series X like this and it's fine.
Yeah, true. But I don't know. I mean, I can, like this sort of big.
I can justify it if you're a diehard loyalist and want the very best out of your gaming experience. But I also sit on the camp of like, if Sony's coming out here saying that the next generation of console, or the mid-generation of consoles is $700 US,
What's next gen going to
Yeah.
look like?
fuck, I'm gonna better start saving now.
Yeah, right. And that was going to be my question is like even if this had like even this boosted the performance of like 30, 50 games.
Yeah.
Even if I was a diehard PlayStation 5 owner, I don't know if I'd buy a new one at launch. Like this is the kind of thing where you're like, yeah, this sounds great, but not for $700 when I have something that plays literally the same games.
Yeah.
And then there's the other question of what fucking games, but I mean,
I mean, the other option is like if you're the consumer that can wait, you just wait for these games to come to PC. If you've got a powerful rig, like that's
yeah, Bulbasaur said the same thing, right? Like it's like if it's but yeah, PC games are getting PlayStation exclusives on it as well, and if you want to play Final Fantasy, like you can basically do that on a PC now.
You know what? I will believe there is such a thing as a PC master race when we start getting Switch exclusives on Steam.
Yeah, no, well, that's never gonna fucking happen, is it? Nintendo
I mean, like
playing a
you pretty much
whole
said though.
different sandpit.
I mean, you're pretty much set though if you have a PC and a Switch.
Yeah, or PC and a 100% legal emulator. Yeah,
It's fine. We don't worry about those kind of achievements anyway.
that's
so.
true. That is true. I wonder if it's like like this maybe begs the question of like what is a Series X mid? Do Microsoft even bother with a mid-gen refresh for the Xbox? Because it really
the
has
Series
been like
X refresh is just getting rid of the S.
yeah, basically yeah, basically ending development on the S. Yeah, so it's the X only. Yeah.
But this is the other thing I don't understand. What is it like $449 or $399 for a Series X now? in the
Something like
US?
that, yeah.
Which like
$400, yeah.
yeah, like if you're paying 400 to 450 US, such a better option than
It is, right? But PlayStation are in such a strong place in the market that it's like.
Do you think they're being cocky? Like, do you think this is E3 2006 or?
Well, I was. It's funny enough. People were talking about it on AHA, and I did happen to post the compilation of the 2006 E3 press conference, which is still like burned into my brain. Will probably be written on my epitaph. Like it. I don't know. It does feel like the minute they said this was going to be $700, I got the $599 US thing stuck in my head again, and was just like,
Yeah.
Genji 2 was an action game. Giant enemy crab, tag the weak point for massive damage. Like, yeah, like it's, it. I don't think it's cockiness this time. I think there's a part of it, right? I think part of it is like, hey, they're a business to make money. There
Yeah.
seems to be a demand for this, or they want to try and maybe that's more what I'm confused
That's the
about.
question though. Is there a demand?
That's maybe my question. Is there a demand, or are they trying to create a demand?
Yeah.
And
Because I feel
I
like
think for
if you wanted to
$700,
create,
you can't be you. I think there is a demand, but I think maybe it's a demand from developers as opposed from consumers, and I'm wondering if it's going to bite them in the ass.
do you think developers are asking for this though? Like, do you
Well,
think
developers are
I don't think
talking about it.
developers I don't think developers have really taken advantage of this generation of consoles though to be able to. And I don't want to get in a whole conversation of like the Series S is holding back
Yeah,
and all
sure,
that.
right, which we've done to death, right? But
I mean, if that was more of a conversations, I think more developers would just be dropping Xbox altogether and just going like, I'm just going to do.
well, I mean, in the indie space, that seems to be happening quite a bit. You just don't hear about it because there's smaller titles that don't get publicity. You know,
But
it,
then that also comes from like if we're talking about the one in the last week, that also comes from a really bad certification experience,
yeah, but I think that yeah, like
which isn't a good look.
no, not a good look, right? It's bad, yeah, but it's not. But what you're saying is it's not the development of the console itself. It's not the power holding it back or anything. It's
It's
out.
it's not that it's Microsoft's own certification standards
Yeah,
and going through that process that's holding it back, as opposed to
but like
my,
I guess
the Series S can't run this.
I guess my point is that if and we've kind of heard this I heard a thing about this the other day where people were talking about how a lot of developers don't bother porting to Xbox unless they're going to be on Game Pass because there's just no visibility, right? And
Yeah, well, when you're thinking of like in the single digits percentage market share, and you're thinking of the cost of, like for some developers it makes sense because you can have a case of, all right, we'll port this to your, reporter, we'll port this to Xbox, whatever,
you get a
and we'll take
Ratalaika coming in
50%
and be
cut.
like, hey, we'll just port your games, we'll give you a cut, just don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
like that makes sense. But then if it's something that you're doing in-house and all that, and there's costs involved for that, man, like it's gonna become a case of like, all right, we can't make the return on this. Like, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah, and it sounds like the sweetheart deals of Game Pass have kind of dried up over the years, as we knew they would, right? Prices have gone up, tiers have changed, availability's changed, and suddenly it's like, oh shit, well, if Game Pass isn't growing, then they're not going to have they're not going to put the money behind it to get a bunch of new talent in for indie games. You'll have the fair few, and you have your Devolvers and kind of your larger indie publishing houses, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's unfair. I still think we still get like you still get things like Flock and Dungeons of Hinterberg and Magical Delicious and all that kind of stuff. And
I I've been thinking lately, when does it get to the stage of the wells begin to drop? Like, when does it get to the stage that Epic decides, all right, we're not taking any market share of Steam.
I
We're just gonna stop doing free games. When
when
does it become
Fortnite
the
stops
case?
making money, basically, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the reality.
I mean, like Sony versus Xbox. When does it become the case of, all right, well, maybe we don't do Game Pass anymore,
Where
or maybe we don't do PlayStation Plus? Like,
I mean it. I think for Microsoft, it is so much a key shift in their entire strategy. Like
hmm,
it used to be that Game Pass was something that they put out alongside physical releases, alongside digital full price digital downloads, alongside cloud gaming, and then it became Game Pass. Game Pass is the thing that we report on. Game Pass is part of all of our messaging. Game Pass is now going to be on other machines potentially. Like that was the whole thing. They were going to try and get it onto. They were like, oh yeah, we want to have it on TVs, but we also want to have it on PlayStation. Like it was going to be a streaming, it was going to be a game streaming service the same way that Ubisoft Plus or EA players. And I think that seems to be the future for Xbox, is that it just becomes a third party game streaming tool, and they'll still have an ecosystem and they'll probably still have a console for at least a little bit. They'll probably do at least one more, but
I really hope they don't pull out of the console market, because then it's just going to be a case of
yeah, it's not good. It's not good for anybody.
Sony's not going to have competition, and then prices will just go up past $700.
Yeah, but to be fair, they're always gonna be competing with PC, right? Like Steam is never going anywhere, and I think that the majority of people will just go to PC. And Microsoft, if they end up doing that, will make that as easy as possible for them because they want you on Windows,
Yeah.
and they'd rather have you on Windows than on Sony.
Yeah, this is true.
But yeah, I think the price is ridiculous, and I think that Scalper's already out there, and I think it's just insane to be charging $700 when we're in an economic downturn and people are struggling to pay the bills. You know, like I don't understand who this is for. I'd love to see the numbers on when this comes out, but well,
Can I just say too, £700 as well?
yeah, the regional pricing is fucked. That's like
The
$1,000.
conversions?
Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
the hell? Like I'm waiting for the Australian price to come out, but I'm like, shit, is this gonna like top 1,000?
Oh, definitely, 100%. This is probably going to be like it'd probably be like a 999 situation.
Yeah.
And New Zealand will probably be the same. I don't know. Even if again, I don't own a PlayStation. I haven't owned a PlayStation console since the PlayStation 2. If I wanted to jump on PlayStation and play Astro Bot because that sounds really, really appealing,
Yeah.
I would just wait.
Wait for PC.
Yeah, basically.
And the other thing is too, like you look like a week prior to that, Concord.
Yeah, there's no real stability in this industry at the moment. So yeah, I'll buy a regular PlayStation 5 if I have to play a PlayStation 5. I don't really see the benefit in this yet. And by the time I do, it'll be time for next generation.
I mean, the only thing I'm hoping from this is like PS5 pricing goes down, but
They're already going to put those back up. Like we're in a weird spot where pricing, it's cheaper to have bought a console at launch than it was than it is to buy one now.
which is nuts.
That's fucking insane.
Never else in my lifetime can I think of another situation that's happened, other than like, I guess like, GameCube and that kind of stuff where it, like, outside of retailer.
Sure, when it's like third party stuff, but in terms of like going to fucking EB Games and buying a console, you're gonna be, and that's not even counting inflation over the last 4 years.
Yep.
That's fucking insane. All right, let's move on.
Everything's getting too pricey.
Yes, it is. Xbox is apparently bringing back friend requests.
Yeah, this was Okay, I'm not sure if anybody else was like me, immediately saw this this in the news and just went like, it's been like what, 10? It's got to be 10 years, something like that, right?
Yeah, 11 years roughly. Yeah, 10 or 11 since the 360 is basically dead.
Why?
I guess because they got probably because of spam bots. Actually, is actually what's happened. Basically, it's because how often
I take
you get
all this back
spam?
now. I'm happy.
Yeah, basically they were like, yeah, no, actually, it's all just going to be, you have to do a friend request to send stuff, and you can't just follow someone and just send messages to them and bombard them with fucking.
I'm making an Overwatch group. Please join my Discord.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
I'll give you $10 for like AliExpress or.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get into it. Microsoft has announced plans to bring back friend requests on Xbox. The feature was last used during the Xbox 360 generation, before being replaced with the social media style follower system when Xbox One launched in 2013. An updated friends and follow experience will be made available to the Xbox Insiders members on the Alpha Skip Ahead ring on consoles and to users who signed up to PC Gaming Preview on PCs and handheld devices. They'll be able to test that it's working as it is intended before it's rolled out to all players. Now, I get that reasoning and all that with the spam messaging and all that. I just know from my personal experience that every time I do an Xbox 360, like, for backwards compatibility and all that, just that extra step is annoying.
It is a pain. It is a bit of a pain. To be fair, the Xbox 360 kind of UI stuff is also not working. It's kind of degrading quite badly. There's like messages have disappeared. You sometimes don't even see them. You don't get.
Oh, whenever you go into the emulator and it spams like 20 messages at once.
Yeah, it's not great. They can't. It is very like you can tell it's kind of falling apart. But I think this is a good move. I think it's fine. The follower thing never really made a lot of sense to me. I guess part of it was more like I've never really engaged with the social elements on the Xbox stuff, like in terms of like watching people's clips or like giving thumbs up to people's achievements or something. Like I don't use the social feed or anything like that.
Okay, so the problem is they just went, all right, let's just take Steam features and just make them like into.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
like Steam has a really nice, you can foster a community through your Steam pages and do events and that kind of stuff. Like whenever you have a demo up, you can get instant feedback with that.
Yeah.
I see AAA games on the Xbox store and like they have reviews of single digits.
Yeah. It's just
And
there's no community for it.
yeah, whereas in Steam you can, you get your overwhelmingly positive or your way down to overwhelming.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust a review on an Xbox site ever. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's not useful. No one uses
I mean the positive is like you've got Game Pass and all that, so it's always a try before you buy
it.
situation
Sure.
anyway.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff Xbox has taken from, like even when they do like demo events and that kind of stuff. Like I like the prospect of it, but I don't hear anybody engaging with it in the community.
Nah. No, not at all. But so they are keeping the followers as something you can do. They're just basically swapping it out so that it's separate from the friends thing, which I think actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but like, do you follow any?
I don't follow. No, I don't follow anyone because I don't give a shit. Like, the people, my friends list are there so I can play with them and talk to them, and that's it. Like, I don't care about influencers. I don't care about guide makers. I don't care about.
It's weird when I think of my like, I guess lifespan across Xbox. I've gone from a Facebook community group that concentrated on achievements and had open discussions of what games we were playing and that kind of feedback to Discord, and I've never used like. I mean, you could use it as you could make the same argument for TA has like a sense of community and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
as well,
I think TA does a better job of fostering it for better or worse.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's tricky.
But I get what you mean. But I think the reason why TA works is because it's fostered a community of common interest, right?
Yeah,
and I think Xbox just doesn't have a good way. They tried it with hubs, they've tried it with all kinds of stuff, and I just don't think it works for them.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
like it was interesting when they did TA as an app on the console.
Yeah,
Like,
as I've said many times before, I am surprised that Microsoft hasn't basically either bought the True network or has basically just ripped them off and used all their stuff.
Yeah. Very interesting.
We sort of talked a little bit about Xbox Standard, which is the new kind of mid-tier for Game Pass now. So you've got your sort of Game Pass Core.
Is it mid or is it like an? Oh,
because you got Game Pass Core, which is like just online and and like 25 or so, like a very small collection of games, and then you have this, which has hundreds of games, but none of the first part, like none of the day one releases. And when they announced this, I had that question of, when they say day one releases, do they just mean Microsoft publish day one releases? So like your Starfields or your Redfalls, or I guess like your flight sim stuff, or I'm trying to think of other first party releases because Microsoft don't have Halo, I guess. Is like, are those the ones? It's like, no, actually everything that was marketed as day one on Game Pass is not available in this tier, which is a big fucking difference from what I thought was going to happen, to be honest. I did not expect, like, the amount of games. There's a big list of games on TA. Like amazing stuff like Case of the Golden Idol, like Rewinder, Turnip Boy, Hellblade 2, Sea of Solitude, Octopath Traveler 2, Neon White,
Age of Mythology.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dungeons of Hinterberg, which I just played a little while ago, Flintlock, what we talked about, Creatures of Ava, Diablo 4, Modern Warfare 3, which Modern Warfare 3, that wasn't day one. Why is that not on there? But
wait, where are you seeing the?
It's
yeah.
That's weird. It's a weird one, but I guess I don't know. They basically said that it could be a year or more for these games to basically get cycled into the standard stuff. So now we really are in a tiered system in a way that I didn't expect them to do, really.
Yeah. And it's going to make the messaging so much more annoying.
Much harder. So it's really going to be like day one on Game Pass Ultimate is going to be the way forward, I guess. Which I don't think really affects us because we'll probably be paying for Game Pass Ultimate until the day we die.
I think it hinders them. Look, I don't know how much money they're saving doing it this way and all that. So that's like one consideration. But when you've got as a product, Game Pass as a term is all encompassing, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
So if you have got say you're on a standard plan and I'm on ultimate, I've just said to you like, wow, like Asian mythology is such a great experience and all that, and you already are invested into that product. It's such a bummer to hear like, oh, you need to go up to a new tier.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying, right? Like that right there is marketing, and we're getting basically into. I'm I,
Yeah.
I'm of two minds about this new tier because I'm not sure if this is a money maker, a money saver. So I'm of three minds actually: money maker, money saver, or if it's popcorn theory, right? I haven't.
Wait. We need Kirby. We
Yeah, I wish Kirby was
need.
here actually. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm not sure if this is like, okay, we're actually going to make more money because we can. It'll, we'll make more money on this tier because more people will get on at this lower tier and we'll increase our customer base. Or is it we're going to save a bunch of money because the games on these tiers are cheaper. We don't have to pay them as much to get them on these tiers in the future, and it just means that we can kind of cycle things down as we want to and kind of. Or is it the third option, which is this tier only exists to try and get people to try and make it an easier pill to swallow now that Game Pass Ultimate is more expensive to get people onto the more expensive plan.
I'm kind of in the mindset they've struggled the user, like they've reached their limits for user acquisition,
Yeah.
and they've just tried to make one of the plans cheaper as to save a buck.
Yeah, that it could just be that. Could just be that, right? And they just kind of have to justify it with the price increases on Ultimate, and they want to try and offset that by giving people a cheaper option. But I am not sure, right? But you can kind of see what I'm saying between those. Like, there's a few different reasons why they might do this. And for those who aren't familiar with popcorn theory, the idea being that if you go into a movie theater and you see a small popcorn for $3 and you see a large for $7, most people are going to go, I don't need the large. I can go for a small. Small is much more affordable. But if you go into a popcorn theater, you go into a movie theater and you see a small for $3, a large for $7, and a medium for $6, you're probably going to go, well, medium is probably what I feel. Like, medium's the middle option. But a large is only like $1 extra than that, so I might as well just get the large. And I'm almost like that. That's what I think might be going on here. And like this is a common like SaaS tool, right? Like that's common marketing all over the place, where you go and buy any kind of software online licensing thing. It's always like best offer or most popular is in the middle with a border around it, and then you go, yeah, maybe that's probably what I need. I don't want to be the cheap plan because I don't want to lose out on all the features, but maybe the middle plan works.
Even to the point though, they'll put like free trials. They'll have free options and they'll have free trials the first one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly. Like there's like some interesting psychology around like how they're pricing this and why they're doing the way they're doing it. It does suck that like a lot of this, like the day one stuff coming to Game Pass is my favorite stuff. Like it's the stuff that I'm most interested in. Like there's a bunch of things on this like Botany Manor that I played.
Botany Manor, Another Crab's Treasure, Age of Mythology.
Yep.
Diablo. Neon White.
You played Lightyear Frontier.
Yep. Really like Lightyear Frontier.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of good stuff in here. It's Star Trek is going to be in there. I guess Slime Rancher 2, which is leaving. I don't know.
I mean, the biggest problem to me, like moving forward, is going to be the messaging of like, how are they going to present it in such a way that the typical consumer does not get confused when there's like one of those, these games are coming to Game Pass, or maybe they're just phasing that out. Like maybe that's one of the other things too that I haven't seen a lot of them lately. Maybe they need a new format to display that information.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it's a new marketing push. Like I suspect the push is really Game Pass Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Like they want as many people in the top tier as possible, and this is their justification for going. That top tier is kind of expensive. Here's the cheaper option if you kind of saving your money. Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, Sony doesn't put their first party like their day one stuff on PlayStation Plus at any tier, so.
Yeah,
there is still that going for them, but it is.
I mean, at the same time, like standard also gets you 370.
True.
Games.
Yeah, like it's not like we were kind of glossing over it because we probably played a lot of these games or we have them in our libraries or whatever. It is a much smaller list of games that's not on the list, but it is a lot of the stuff they've been using for their marketing. It's the stuff we've been talking about on the show for weeks. So it'd be pretty hard to see some of the stuff just not show up. But that's what it is. Speaking of Game Pass, looks like Xbox is going to have some stuff to show for Tokyo Game Show, which is end of the month, which is pretty.
Final Fantasy. No.
Well, I mean,
I,
I didn't put it in the news stories because we've talked about the rumors around Final Fantasy coming to Xbox every fucking week for the last 6 months. But if there was any place,
every single year, every single September for like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're
Maybe no.
we're worse than Hollow Knight fans at this point. Like it's like it's like Silk Song, and everyone, Nintendo has to come out and be like, no, Silk Song is not being showed at the direct.
I love that Silk Song is. I love that indie has broken through so much that you have Jeff Keighley just going like, nah.
Yeah, he just has to come out and he has to make sure that people aren't disappointed because there's no Silk Song and there never will be. But to be fair, if there was any place to announce a big suite of Final Fantasy games coming to Game Pass the same way they did for Yakuza for Sega, this would be the place to do it, right?
Look, I think it's I don't want to say likely. There is a chance we get Pixel remasters, but everything else I'm very...
Pixel remaster definitely sounds most likely. I think 16 is probably the most likely.
Yeah,
considering how it kind of had a bit of a...
Like, I'm thinking in terms of, like, likeliness to least likely would be Pixel remasters
16 and then the 7 remasters. Yeah, for sure. I'm still very iffy about the 7 games on, but I think
7 will get as a trilogy when it comes out.
But it's like that third game is going to take like another 5 years for them to make. We'll be on another generation by then.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll see what it is.
Rebirth didn't sell gangbusters, did it?
But they've said that they're going to see upcoming games from Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, Activision Blizzard during the Xbox broadcast, as well as an exciting lineup of games from third-party partners, primarily based in Japan and across Asia. So I guess if you want to show Black Myth Wukong, now would be a really good time to do it.
Doubt.
No, that's not happening.
That's the doubt.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not happening because apparently they have an exclusivity deal. But but they're not giving any hints away. But we also, when we get to what's coming to Game Pass, we don't know at this point. They're keeping their cards very close to their chest at the moment.
I just want to see some weird shit.
Me too, 100%.
Give us the underrated indies that we don't know about. Stuff from like
I want to see some cool Japanese indie games. Hell yeah. All right. This is probably the biggest news story. It just broke today. Cameron, do you want to... You kind of were talking about this a little bit.
So Annapurna Interactive's entire workforce has resigned. The video game publishing division of Annapurna Studios. So there is a movie... Is it just the movie and TV and then the games?
Yeah, those are the two things. Yeah, so like the movie and TV thing was the thing basically. They did a lot of indie films, and it's why you see a lot of Annapurna stuff quite early on was very cinematic, or very.
Yeah, there was.
Annapurna are the reason why 12 Minutes had 3 celebrity voices for the voices in those games.
Yeah, there was a movie that I watched from Annapurna on plane last year, and I can't think what it was called. I was very surprised to see the logo. No, save me. Anyway, following discussions to spin a video game publishing arm out into an independent entity, 2 dozen members of staff resigned from the company. All 25 members of the Annapurna Interactive team collectively resigned, Gary said in a joint statement. It's one of the hardest decisions we have ever had to make, and we did not take this decision lightly. I don't know how far I want to go into this. Like, obviously, Annapurna is behind Outer Wilds, Stray, Cocoon, like very.
A lot of stuff on Game Pass, like 12 Minutes, and kind of like, if you're looking for like, you want to throw some like high production value indie games, that weren't put up, that weren't
kind of games,
that weren't put out by Humble Bundle. It's usually an Annapurna production.
I'm just trying to think how much I want to speculate.
Because
how often do you have a collective staff?
Your entire staff disappear from your studio because...
In a highly volatile industry.
Yeah, when people are getting laid off and it's hard to get a job, some serious shit must have happened.
I swear there must be like a serious plan B behind this.
Something must have happened.
There's gonna be some label. There's gonna be some label that arises out of this, of them working in their own team. That's what I imagine happening, but
Yeah.
anybody's guess.
They have said that none of the IP or anything are leaving Anapurna. It's just the people. They're not. They obviously haven't negotiated any kind of. This seems like like union action kind of thing, where it's like something's happened and they've collectively gone, no, we're not going to be a part of this. Yeah.
The group's owners come out to say that they're going to support the developers and publishing. It's another shitty situation like Humble though, where there's just no communication with the developers and they're just left in the dark.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck's going on? I mean, to be fair, Humble made their decision and then told them. The employees told Annapurna this time. So, yeah, I mean, Control 2 apparently is still going to be published by them. But there's a lot of partnerships that are going to be up in the air that are very questionable.
Go back. So Control 2 and... Oh, sorry. Control 2 and that was the TV.
Yes, so they've been funded by the... they're getting funding from the TV because they self-publish.
So that's not affected. That's what I just want to clarify.
Exactly, yeah. So they are two separate entities. So it is, again, this was this just broke today, so we still don't know a lot, but I imagine there's going to be some really interesting stories over the next couple of weeks of what the fuck is going on over there, because I've never seen anything like this before.
No.
Like it's usually like studio heads, hey, closing down studio, we our last game didn't make money. We're talking about Annapurna here, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do a walkout, and we're going to walk out, we ain't coming back. So I don't know if they're going to spin up their own studio and just kind of do their own thing and try and just publish some content. I mean, that's what I would do, right? Like that's.
I feel like if there's any bet, they're going to make their own.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like we couldn't split off. We're making out. This.
Basically, it was like we're going to split. We're going to split off one way or the other. I think is maybe how this discussion went.
But for all the staff in that situation to do it, that's
But so it basically this happened because they were talking with Megan Allison, who's the founder of Anapurna Pictures, the TV and movie side of things, to do, and this apparently want to spin off to do their own thing. And I guess talks broke down, and they said fuck it, and sounds like they're going to do their own thing. I don't know. It's interesting.
Tables were flipped. No, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like it seems like a pretty extreme.
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
I feel like next week's going to be an interesting week.
Yeah. I'd love to hear a bit more about what the fuck's going on. Man, I'm just looking at Annapurna stuff. They've done a lot of really interesting things.
Yep.
They do theater shows often on Broadway as well. It's so weird. I love it. Anyway, so I guess as we hear more, we'll update you. But a lot of my favorite games on Game Pass and a lot of indie games over the last few years have been Annapurna productions. So. It's sad that I guess we won't see sequels to a lot of those. I mean, not that most of those kind of games get sequels, but I guess they've taken their talent elsewhere.
Man, it's such a good list. Like Mixtape next year as well.
Yes. Yeah, Mixtape looks so fucking good.
Wonder Stop, Open Roads, Thirsty Suitors, Cocoon, Storyteller. I wish Storyteller would come to Xbox already.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah. I think you actually sent me it.
Anyway.
Couple more news stories. This one's probably a relatively short one, but Ubisoft investor demands that CEO change as share price falls after Star Wars Outlaws launch. Can you imagine launching a Star Wars game and losing share value?
I can because I don't like Star Wars, but if you ask, I'm more surprised that you haven't played this game yet.
I mean,
which kind of speaks volumes to me that this is not a good product.
It doesn't. Everything I've heard about this game has been it's good, but or it's bad, but or it's everything is couched.
It's lifeless. The story, that's what I've heard.
I will play this at some stage, of course, because I'm a real slut for Star Wars. But yeah, I mean, this will be my 1 month of Ubisoft Plus per year that I pick up to smash through all the games on the service. Although, funnily enough, we were talking about, I think, a similar thing like this last year, where we were like, actually, what's the value of Ubisoft Plus? And I don't see it. It doesn't seem like it's improved a lot over the last year since we've talked about it. Because I picked that up I think I picked up Ubisoft Plus in February, maybe? And because I did Prince of Persia, The Crew, Motorfest, Crew 2, and Avatar. And I'm just trying to think of anything Ubisoft that I'd want to play since then. It's like this, maybe. And I guess the DLC for...
What else has come? Ubisoft.
What has Ubisoft put out recently?
XFI, like I honestly
XFI, isn't XFI free to play though?
Yeah, it's free to play.
Yeah, so
Trying to think of any other. Oh, they got all.
but yeah, there's Ubisoft is being pressured to go private by a minority investor as company shares prices continue to plummet, calling it an undervalued company. And I think something to remember about Ubisoft, and I was reading a little bit about this as the reviews for Star Wars Outlaws came in and kind of were all over the place in terms of how people were kind of dealing with the problems with it. Ubisoft is still a family-run business. That's crazy to think about, right? Like Ubisoft, what was I think the third largest third-party publisher, maybe probably the second now that Activision got bought out, was EA, Ubisoft, and EA, Ubisoft, and Activision, and now it's basically just EA and Ubisoft, but. Ubisoft is run because there's like 5 brothers and they all kind of do their own thing within the business and it's all family owned and I don't know, they can't seem to capitalize on any good ideas. I feel like they have like so
or
often.
If they have a good idea, they beat into like.
Yeah, you hear so many of the concepts of the games. It's like if I explain to you Assassin's Creed, right? It's like, hey, you're a stealthy assassin who basically goes back in time to re-experience the memories of his ancestors to learn how to be an assassin to fight modern day like Templars. Sounds pretty fucking cool. I mean, it sounds Matrixy as shit and stuff, but like it's corny, but it's still like I think conceptually it's really interesting. And then you play and you're like, fuck me, how do you make something like that so fucking boring? And I feel like this is like Star Wars Outlaws is the perfect example of them saying, you get to play for the first time, really, in an open world game, you get to play a sort of Han Solo style smuggler, no lightsabers, no Jedi, you just kind of get to live in this world being a smuggler and doing a big heist, basically. Like, Star Wars smuggler heist, how could you go wrong with that? Like, you basically just rip off Uncharted, put some fucking aliens in it, and show Jabba the Hutt for a bit. Like, it's not that, like... Yeah, I don't know.
I feel weird because, like... What was I going to say? I was going along the mental trail of, like, Ubisoft just does not work on, like, new IP anymore.
Yeah.
But then they had Skull and Bones in that, and then, like...
But that was in development for so fucking... Yeah.
that wasn't... But, like, I don't feel like Ubisoft has had an original... Like, Prince of Persia, right? Feels like the only original idea they've...
And that wasn't even an original idea, right? They didn't own Prince of Persia when they started.
Original idea, but, like, the format was different,
sure,
and that's what makes it fresh.
100%. Like, you talk about, like, Sands of Time, and that trilogy is amazing.
It kind of sucks just thinking of, like, what a massive company Ubisoft is. How much potential there would be to put out, like, original stories and that, and... It feels like it gets all watered down to some... Like, I feel like gameplay elements are fine for Ubisoft games, but they're just stretched out and made into collectathons so often.
It feels like they're products, right?
Yeah.
And I get that,
I don't feel like I'm playing something that somebody poured their heart and soul into.
Sure. Right. It doesn't feel authentic. And I know that's kind of a loaded thing, right? Where it's like, oh, fucking... But,
I mean, that's why I love indies, though, at the end of the day, because it's usually somebody's passion project that they've put so much. You can see past the gank when it comes to indies.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's fine. And I'm not saying every game needs to be that, but none of Ubisoft games are that. I think is the problem. They've just been struggling so much with having something that feels like it isn't just like it's just, oh, here's a sandbox and here's a very, very vague story to tie it all together, kind of give you some excuses to do things. And from what I hear from Outlaws, it's like it's probably like the worst offender of this that they've done in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, saying that, like, I'll go back. Like, I enjoyed the Crew Outlaw. I enjoyed the Crew Motorfest.
Me too.
I enjoyed Mirage, but then
I enjoyed Mirage somewhat,
yeah,
but I'm also like, we got Shadows coming out in November, I think.
true.
If that's
You know what? Actually, this is like 2 years ago, but what is actually a pretty fun time is Rabbids Party of Legends.
well, I was gonna
Like
say
playing
Rain.
that with Percy, and
Yeah,
pretty fun party game.
sure, but that's not gonna do numbers, right? Well, it might do actually. I don't know. It has that kind of different demographic, but like we haven't seen
I kind of wonder why they haven't really gone into like, expanded Rabbids out into such a
Well, they kind of
Yeah.
tried to. I mean, shit. When I went to an arcade a few weeks ago, and they had a whole Rabbids game where you shot plungers at Rabbids on a screen. Like, they've definitely
But
branched out.
it kind of feels like it needs like the Minions treatment, like of
Yeah, that's definitely what they're going for.
I think they've done TV and explored that there.
Fucking, they need to bring Rain Man back. I mean, there's so many. I don't know. Us sitting here in our armchairs being like, oh yeah, this $1 million company should be doing this, and this to make more money. But it's like, I don't know. It does feel like the way they run their company really squeezes the potential out of what could be some really, really great games.
And then they jump on trends too late, or
Yeah, and
like we should have new Splinter Cells by now.
yeah, like I would expect that kind of stuff from EA, right? And we see it from EA, and that's why EA hasn't puts out so little these days in terms of like first party development. It's like the stuff that they do is you get a little bit of the EA original stuff, but obviously that hasn't taken off very well.
Yeah.
And you had Dead Space, and then they're like, oh yep, no, we're not going to do another one of those. And it's like, we're just going to do FIFA and Madden, or it was EA Soccer or whatever they're calling it these days. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just going for the list at the moment. I'm just sad.
It is sad, right? And I'm hoping that they can kind of clean up some of Outlaws, so when I get around to playing it, it'll actually be a bit more of a more enjoyable experience. But I don't have high hopes. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft, as we've said many times in the past, need to get this shit together.
Yeah.
And then for our last story here, Cameron, you chucked this in about Stalker 2.
Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to Stalker 2. Very quick, easy article. GSC, Game World, who are behind Stalker 2 just development, basically just came out and praised Xbox for being such good sports, essentially.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which, for those that don't know, GSC, Game World's been involved with the Ukraine war. And,
yeah, the studio's based in Ukraine, so they kind of got their development definitely got disrupted by quite a bit. There's been a few delays because of it.
Yep, and it's planned for November 20th this year. Praised Xbox for its support of Stalker 2 and the numerous challenges the team has faced in recent years. Side this article as well, Stalker 2 will get 2 new story expansions and several free post-launch updates.
Yeah, I'm quite excited for Stalker. It looks really, really good.
I want something that captures like Metro vibes again.
Yeah,
Metro Exodus was kind of like
a bit different. Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I think Metro Exodus is an interesting idea, but I still think that like Last Light and 2033 are way, way better games.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's all I pretty much wanted to put in.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear that someone is having a good experience with Xbox as opposed to all the negative ones we kind of been getting in the press recently.
Here we go. I'll use this card. Where is it? Bosch Arov, I don't know if butchering that, praised Xbox boss Phil Spencer for being very supportive and caring as the team navigates its current situation. I never expected a corporation to be this close to the developers who are in a bad situation. It was spectacular. The professional connection we value a lot because it would have been much different without them.
And also, it would be really, really bad press if it was like Microsoft abandoned studio involved in the Ukraine war. But That's my cynical side talking. All right, let's get into Game Pass updates. Cameron, you want to read through them? There's not a lot.
Right. September 11, we have Riders Republic, and September 17th, we have Train Sim World 5. Games leaving Game Pass. Mayday Free, FIFA 23 on Xbox and Xbox Series, Slime Rancher 2, Spider Heck, You Suck at Parking, and Ashes of the Singularity Escalation on Windows.
Yeah, so by the time you hear it's just the 13th when we record this, so I'm hoping that we get some announcements. I don't know. They must have announced something for the next couple of weeks for coming.
Probably Tuesday.
I'm sure they'll maybe, I don't know, like
It's usually like Tuesday night our time.
Usually, yeah, that's true. So hopefully, yeah, we'll hear something soon about what's leaving.
We'll
I'm
have like a surprise drop at Tokyo Game Show.
I'm assuming they'll have a couple of surprises, but they're probably going to have something to show for the rest of the month because it's been a pretty light month in terms of festival games and also shit that I want to play. Because
Right.
Age of Mythology is the only thing on that list that I was like, cool, this month sounds great, and everything else is like, whatever.
Like Star Tracker and that I'll check out, but apparently the systems are very, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically
Cool concept though.
Euro Truck. Yeah, concept seems cool, but Euro Truck Simulator in space, it's going to have to be very spacey and not very simulating for me to be interested.
Yeah.
And then we have our monthly theme, which is in September and October, we're doing And Stay Down, which is where you're going to finish your DLC and your title updates that you've been putting off for those games where they came out and ruined your fucking completion percentage. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Prince of Persia.
It's also what you say when you're playing Human Full Flat, Matt, and he hits you accidentally.
I didn't hit you once, all right? I was carrying the team, thank you.
100% this monthly theme though is like every time I think of one particular game, it's Human Full Flat. One for the ridiculous amount of title updates that game has received.
Yeah.
And two because of the fucking just physics of it.
It works great. Yeah. So we can probably talk straight about that actually.
Yeah.
We've been playing a bit of Human Fall Flat. We played through the new DLC. It was fun actually. I know like a lot of people get really upset about there being new content always added to Human Fall Flat and then they never feel like it's done. And to be fair, I thought when they announced the second game that they weren't going to add any more to the first game, but they proved us wrong. They just keep putting out. They put out a level every couple of months. It's like an hour. You have like a fun time with your buddies. I don't know. It's like they're not overly difficult. The achievements can be a little bit challenging.
18,000 TA.
Yeah, TA is always very nice for it. But I don't know. Like I enjoyed this latest one. I don't know, Cameron. Did you do this one and the other one? Any other ones?
I haven't worked on the other three. I just did the one with you co-op, but it's one of those things. Like if you play it for everyone solo, it feels like a slog. But if you do it with friends, it's always a good time.
100%. And because you can break the puzzles in co-op, it makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, no, it was quite enjoyable doing the co-op. I want to try and get the other ones done, but then yeah, it's just finding people that want to do it also.
Yeah, that's fair.
It'll be very interesting to see when 2 comes out, whether they continue the support for 1 at the same time.
I doubt it.
Okay, so this is the thing. Aren't all these levels just the workshop levels from Steam?
I'm pretty sure they're just modular. Like, yeah, I think so. So I guess maybe until they run out of those, which I don't. Will they ever?
Yeah. But yeah, that's the question then, because if players like QA testing and all that for them, like, what's to stop you from just porting it over, making sure everything works, and then?
I guess like my other question is how much of that stuff's going to be compatible with the new game? Like, how different is Human Fall Flat 2 going to be from the first game in terms of like how it controls and plays? Like, I don't know.
Because I imagine the only way I can imagine Human Fall Flat 2 going upwards is like making your own moddable levels and like on console.
Sure, yeah, which definitely is a possibility. And it's like, yeah, new objects, new interactions, but realistically, it's going to play, I assume, the same because like nothing else plays like Human Fall Flat.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much more they could do with it.
Well, I mean, I'm curious to see because I've always enjoyed that game quite a bit.
Yeah, like bigger servers, better vehicle control, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like they've shown that they can do a lot of different stuff with physics puzzles, but just with only having the ability to grab and move.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I'll quickly touch on. I haven't been playing a huge amount this week, so I'll just quickly fly through my stuff or a couple of them. Persona 3, speaking of DLCs, just got its The Answer DLC, which I actually forgot was coming, and it has achievements.
I thought it wasn't scheduled for like October, November.
No, so yeah, it was actually. I remember when they announced it a while ago, and you could get it on the as like if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you basically you can get it as a perk for free. You get the DLC for free. But yeah, just I completely forgot that it was coming out at all. And then I just saw new achievements for Persona 3. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. And I've never played this DLC because it wasn't part of the portable collection. They didn't include it. So this is all new to me. I put like an hour or 2 into it. They do the thing where it's like you've leveled back down to level 25. So you got to kind of, get your shit back up. And I mean, what else are they going to do, right? I get it.
Yeah.
And it's more dungeons. I guess the problem is that it's more dungeon stuff and none of the social stuff because it's all very like contained. The whole thing is that like instead of it being like day by day by day and going to school and stuff, you're in a Groundhog day sort of loop. So you're just replaying the same day over and over again to get better and better. Yeah, so I'm like an hour or two into it, like not much at all. Just kind of did like got to like the first major boss and checkpoint, and curious to see where the story goes. You get kind of a flash forward at the beginning in the intro cutscene, so there's some like intrigue of like what the fuck's going on. But cool that it's free, quote unquote, and that it came out while it was still in Game Pass, so I can still play it. But also just perfect timing for our monthly theme. Just been.
And then we find out Persona 3 is leaving Game Pass at the end of the month.
I mean, if that's gonna happen, I'm fucking gonna book it. That's me. Yeah, I'm done.
I know you will, but nobody else has your ability to speed through games.
Some people have finished Persona 3. Come on. But no, we should be good because I think it's got in February, so we got a decent amount of time.
Yep.
Oh, excuse me. The other thing I've been playing, speaking of DLC, is Kingdom Hearts 3. The Remind DLC, where basically you get to replay the final fights of the base game, which are some of the coolest moments in Kingdom Hearts history. And you get to play as different characters and stuff. I don't want to give any spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it for whatever reason, but it's pretty fucking sweet. So you get to replay a lot of that. There's a new boss in there, and then afterwards you unlock a similar to Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Final Mix. You get the corridor of the data thing of being able to go back and do like hard boss fight versions of Organization 13. Managed to do all of those, and then you unlock an extra super final boss, which I tried it and it beat me in about 8 seconds. And I'm playing a beginner and I have a level 99 character, and I got demolished. So I'm doing some stat grinding and getting some of those little stat up things and doing some of that, and I'm gonna give it another try. But whoo boy, that is reading. I've been reading guides and stuff, and people are like, this is the hardest super boss in Kingdom Hearts history. So hoping to be done with that, and then after I'm done with that, I get to play through the entire game again with a bunch of modifiers on that make the game harder. So that'll be great.
Like, what modifiers are there?
There are things like you don't get the attractions ability. You can't use drive mode. You can only use the base level Keyblade, I think is one. I think one of them is like no companions. There's like a whole list of like modifiers you can turn on and off. You only actually have to have them on for the bosses, but you have to hit a certain score threshold by beating each boss. So it's like I think you need like 320,000 to hit like A rank. And so you get a certain amount from each boss. So ideally what you do is you get to the boss, turn all of them on, and then beat the boss with all these things on. One of them is like, it drops all of your stats to 0 in terms of like your equipment stats. Don't add anything, and your level stats do. Only your added stats, which makes the game really fucking hard. So we'll see how I go with that. But you still have to beat the super boss to unlock the pro menu. So I don't even know how that's going to go. But yeah, that's been me bashing my head.
Reach the highest pro merit rank?
That's the one, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, there's a lot of really hard stuff in that list, so. But you can play New Game Plus, you can bring your character across and that sort of thing. So I'll have my level 99 character, I'll have all my equipment and stuff, but I'm just gonna, yeah.
I just read ability limit. A maximum limit of 30 is placed on abilities you can install on Sora. This means 30 abilities, not 30 AP.
Yeah.
If it was 30 AP,
You'd
oh
be
my god.
fucked. Yeah.
That would be disastrous.
But to be fair, it's been a while since I played through Kingdom Hearts 3, so I'd actually welcome doing a replay of it. If I can just beat this fucking boss, then I can kind of start on
I've had that experience with a few games lately where I've kind of been like, wait, this game came out 5 years ago now. This was on like 2 years ago.
COVID's a bitch, right? Like that was the thing. I really feel like we fell into the time warp. I got one other game I'm playing, but I'll let you go through a few of yours, Cameron.
Yeah, all right. So I'll knock off the easy ones. I did 3 different editions of Minecraft last night whilst playing Age of Empires 4. Knocked out the latest tile update, as well as I had Castaway, which was the Eat Dried Kelp for 3 days for the Android edition, because it just didn't unlock the last time I did it. So here I was with free controllers managing different things, and that was fun. Yeah, so I got Minecraft done, Human Fall Flat we talked about. I did the Little to the Left Seeing Stars for my DLC stuff. It felt very similar to the previous content that's already done.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they would take the idea and do something new, but
And I really didn't. Again, I think you kind of posted around like there's a lot more color puzzles, and a lot of the
Yeah.
puzzle types they added to this one as opposed to the previous DLC were ones that I didn't like that much. I was kind of sick of it about halfway through it, unfortunately.
Yeah, kind of like it's only a 2 hour DLC, but you get halfway through and then you're like, yeah,
Well, there was also a lot of puzzles that had way too many solutions, and
yeah,
I hate that. I'm
like
like
5 to 6.
five
Yeah,
to six solutions for a single puzzle. I'm like, let's no, like just do another puzzle, guys. I know it's hard to come up with new concepts and stuff, but yeah,
I mean, it feels like it's harder to use the same concept and to stretch it out of 5. Like, I'd much rather just like, colors or patterns kind of
yeah.
thing.
Like I think
And that's
three
the
should be the
solution.
maximum for any of these puzzles, really. Because first of all, I like the variety, and second of all, it's like also you got to keep track of every one that you've done.
What was it? So, Power Wash. I'm going to go through a few of these really quick and then explain
Yep.
a few of the others. Power Wash, I've just been doing a lot of the DLC stuff. I did most of Back to the Future. I've started the SpongeBob one, and what was the other one? Well, those are the two that I've mainly been working on, just trying to get some DLC out of the way. After Mafia 1, I went straight into Mafia 2, doing the DLC for that. Just Mafia 2 is like such an enjoyable experience.
Great game. It's so
Immediately
so
installed the
solid.
definitive and played one level and then had to put it away because Percy was over and I didn't want to be a bad dad.
Right.
I've been doing Warframe with Ireland. We've been smashing out a few of the DLC achievements. I smashed out. Oh, what is it called? I can't remember what the first word is. The Paradox mission, which is like a blend between Warframe and then turning it into like a Souls. Not Souls like in terms of picking up souls and spending on points and all that, but defeating an area and getting an upgrade.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
But like with that kind of ARPG
Cool.
element to it, very different. I was not expecting that at all, but apparently it lets you unlock some different abilities for Warframe. So we've just been smashing through a few of them. Corey probably wants me to play it a lot more than what I currently am, but I'm
Yeah,
stretching
sure.
myself across a few games. Evil West I've been doing with Stubby, which we did the Evil playthrough. Second last boss was a pushover. We got in like 2 attempts, but the last boss was, oh my god, such a
Yep. That
pain
last
in the
boss
ass.
sucks.
You and the party, you heard the amount of swearing that was going on. And now playing it for on easy, we did like 5 missions in half an hour last night, so it was good. So I think we've got like 7 or so achievements. We have to do particular ways to defeat the bosses, get the hidden perks, and 100 slaves. And then we're essentially done. So I think it'll probably take a night or two.
Yeah, you'll smash through it and have no problems.
Outside of that, Age of Mythology has consumed my life. Apparently, I did 68 hours in 10-ish days.
That's very impressive. That's my kind of numbers there. That's great. I'm gonna play it.
But I have not felt tired. So
now that you've done it, I'm gonna play it. It's next once I get done with my game I'm playing at the moment.
if anybody is concerned about the difficulty level that most Age of Empires games have, I do think this is probably the best barrier to and like the best entry point, other than doing Age of Empires 1.
Right.
Because Age of Empires 1, you got the cheats and it's pretty easy. Age of Mythology has an amazing story that spans about 30 scenarios. I just smashed it out in story mode. Incredibly easy. The only annoying bit is playing in story mode and having like a defend this point for 20 minutes kind of.
You can't really go any faster. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's that kind of speed element to it. But the only issue I had was my sound card just messed up with the game like halfway through. And I could have gone to I could have played on console or whatever, but it was just a case
I wonder
of,
how it controls on console, actually. I want to have a look. I'm curious.
Yeah, I installed it there first, but then I just went back to PC because I had the early access for it. I succumbed on the day before it released. I needed to have it.
Oh my god.
I had time, and now I've got the DLCs, so it's fine.
All right.
$35 for the 2 DLCs, I'm fine with.
Sure.
If I got early access. I'm trying, like, I love the mythology aspect of it. I love, you've got that circle that they introduced in Age of Empires 2 that lets you default your economy. So, like in a particular age, you could focus on 50% food, 25% gold,
Oh, right.
25%, and they will just auto assign the villagers, and it's amazing.
That's great. Yeah.
There's also other quality of life features, like you can right click on a build icon, say like for a villager or something, and just continuously they'll just spawn.
Great.
Like it's very clear in terms of like your economy units, your military units, how to assign them. It's very easy to breeze through the missions. You go through the riv sticks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've got so much deep nostalgia for this game. The voice acting, from what I heard of it for the first 15 missions I played, was pretty spot on. I thought it was pretty good. What else is there? The achievements are not ridiculous. You can abuse the scenario at a. I also post me spawning all those. You know what? Titan. Titan just hits the ground, knocks 20 of them off at once.
Yep.
Incredibly easy. The only downside I would say is the third scenario was pretty boring in terms of story for me. I end up just skipping through. But yeah, that Trident scenario, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah,
and
I'm sold.
just when you play a game like 20 years, like this is my childhood.
Yeah, this is your Crash Bandicoot. I get it. Yeah.
Like I started playing through it, all the memories started coming back. And then it's like why I have such deep fascination for like Norse mythology, for the Egyptians, for the Greeks. Like, God's sake, I named my daughter after a Greek goddess. Like, this is the reason why. Like, I love this game. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is if you were to play any Age of game, Age of Mythology is always going to be the best one in terms of the quality of life, in terms of the story, in terms of the achievements being like a 30 to 35 hour game.
Great. Yep, I'm sold.
And yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's got 5 devs behind it. So I'm very interested to see how they pump out content for this game.
Yeah, that is actually. I wonder if they. Yeah, do they have stuff ready? Are they gonna
like?
Did they originally have expansions?
2 DLCs have been promised.
Yeah, 2 so far, and like I imagine those would be pretty sizable scenarios, probably.
But then you think of like well, that's the thing though. You think of like Age of Empires 2, and it's so like some of these scenarios are so long.
Yeah, there's a lot of content.
But then Age of Mythology, like from what I've got to double check. I don't think the scenarios that included the game were in the base game of Age of Mythology, but I believe there was like Chinese. There was other DLCs originally.
Yeah,
I think it must be the ones coming.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, redo them.
But yeah, I love this game so much that I immediately went like, all right, I need another Age fix, and I went back to Age of Empires 4, and I bought the Sultan's DLC, which is Saladin. I'll mention Saladin in that, and they've done a few interesting. Like the second mission in that one was essentially capture the flag. Oh, not capture the flag, but like several control points.
Hold the point. Yep.
Yeah. So you didn't have the ability to build your own military, but it just sends you reinforcements every 5 minutes. And
so it's Dota.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Like Dota and Age of Empires.
I'm down for that. Sure.
And then the third scenario that I played last night was just doing like 20 trade ships and protecting them. Like,
right. Okay. Yeah.
Bit of an interesting take. The only problem I have with Age of Empires 4's DLC so far is like I love the different scenarios. I'm disappointed that they didn't keep the History Channel kind of approach that they did for the initial like the Normans and that kind of stuff. Because it looks really, really good, and I understand not everybody has a budget to send people to the Middle East and that to take.
Yeah, DLC's got to have usually a smaller budget than the base games, unfortunately, right? Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of Age, and the last thing that I've started again tonight is I'm currently working another job with another indie title, which I won't say too much about, but I'm doing research playing Cyberpunk.
Interesting. 2077, yeah, okay. Have you played any of it at all before?
I've played probably like 2 hours of it, and then I dropped it because I don't think I was like keeping the miss balls and that kind of mind. Whereas now I've got Power Pix's guide up. I've gone through. I've got everything has a level 3 attribute. I'm going to save up the 17 points. I'm going to do the manual save, do that. Just very one playthrough achievement focused. And then I'm going to try this Phantom Liberty DLC that everybody
Yeah, I've heard
says
Phantom
about.
Liberty is amazing, and like I've heard so many good things about where Cyberpunk has ended up, but I've just bounced off it every time I've tried it for some reason or another. It's just hard to justify doing open world games these days. It's just they just feel like such a slog sometimes.
Like Kingdom Hearts, though, it's like 5 years old now, and
Yeah,
like I've heard so many stories on like podcasts and all that. Like it's in such a good state now.
yeah,
I wanna see that state for myself. It's just incredible with like edge runners and all that, like how they've turned this product around.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's a real. They really fucked it to start with.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty like I've been playing a lot of different games at the moment. But yeah, hopefully I can knock out Evil West tonight. Stevie, if you're there. No,
Yeah.
he's just gonna go quiet on me.
And then the last thing I've been working on is Lords of the Fallen, which we've talked about the last couple of weeks. I've just got my Umbral. I've just got my Umbral ending done, and my Beat All the Bosses achievement didn't unlock. So I'm trying to figure that out. So that's great.
Wait, you've done the Umbral ending and it didn't unlock?
Didn't unlock. Yep. So I've seen the TA has a glitchy thing on it. Apparently, you might need to go and beat some of the bosses if you've skipped any of the smaller bosses. During your third, like I'm on my third playthrough, so like there are some optional bosses that I might have just run past that if I go back and beat them, maybe I'll get it. It seems to be there's some conflicting reports around the achievement unlocking, which is a bit annoying. But once I get that one, yep,
Stevie, correct me if I'm wrong. That one in the
the one in the graveyard, right?
yeah, it's like the graveyard looking bit with the big the
The
opening
face dude,
stomach
yeah,
thing.
face dude, yeah,
Yeah, I'm wondering if you've missed that because I think that's completely optional.
yeah, yeah. So like again, like I've done that on other playthroughs, but yeah, I've beaten all the bosses. I checked them all off on the checklist, and yeah, didn't get the achievement.
Did you fight Kujin, the
Yep.
prisoner, and Isaac?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Did all of those. Got all the achievements, all the other achievements for all the quests and everything. It's just basically just the boss achievement, and then I need to collect all the armor. I feel like I played through, like I'm basically done with the game in terms of like what it's got to offer. So I feel pretty confident saying like I like this game, but I don't love it. I think that there is some good potential there, but I think that it's weighed down by a lot of issues.
I feel like this is an Assassin's Creed 2 situation. I think they'll be able to take the learnings and make this into
I hope.
something
I really hope
nice.
so because I think there's something really interesting there. They have like this idea with the Umbral and the idea of when you die, you go to the Umbral, so you have like an extra life and kind of playing on the two mechanics, the two worlds. But on the flip side, that makes the level design like not great. It's really, really easy to get lost, and the signposting is incredibly bad. The shortcut system is okay. They need more vestiges. The planting thing is fucking stupid. The whole plant, like, just make more vestiges. So like it's not that difficult. Dark Souls figured this out. Like you don't need having temporary vestiges doesn't really add anything to the game. I like the combat, but the enemies aren't all that interesting, and the achievements are kind of a mess. You know, having achievements for collecting every kind of item, every kind of weapon, every kind of thing. There's just too much shit to get, and most of it is useless, and it's just there to check off, check off a checkbox.
That's my biggest problem with these kind of Souls-like games though, is like how they set up that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I
feel
just
like
hate missable achievements though.
the games are kind of getting better over the years as they kind of realize what people want to do in these kinds of games and kind of make it a bit more open-ended and not have to feel like it's just going down a checklist, because you just end up sitting next to an enemy and just attacking them over and over again hoping they drop the thing you do, which is a like old school JRPG thing that people used to do.
Yeah.
Like we're beyond that. We're really, it should be like, hey, you get some cool weapons and shit, and like, yeah, get like, fuck, if it was just like get 80% of the things, I think you'd be fine. I don't know.
I wouldn't mind it if they had the accessibility of, the checklist of just getting marked off as you go along. And,
Yeah.
Like just make it in game.
Yeah, I think that like they've taken like this game wears its Dark Souls influence on its sleeve, and I think it's taken some good elements from Dark Souls. And it's taken some improvements. Like I think the new game plus 0 idea is a brilliant idea of not having to increase the difficulty if you want to do another playthrough. Like Dark Souls, like every Dark Souls game should have that. You shouldn't have to play through on a harder difficulty to get different endings or experience different things.
I will say too, like the environment's annoying as hell, right?
Yeah,
Like it really does feel too confusing, like
it's
certain
really
certain
disjointed in a way that reminds me of almost like Dark Souls 2 in terms of its world building. And like it relies too much on the fact that you can kind of warp between areas, and it really feels like it's not tied together in a way that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
not to say there aren't
Like it
shortcuts,
takes
but
like 3 to 4 playthroughs until you start like piecing the areas
yeah,
together.
exactly. Like it is like, and I usually have a pretty good mental image of kind of mapping things
Yeah.
out and understanding how things connect together and having good memory of that kind of stuff. And it was only until this final playthrough that I was really getting a handle on it. And even then, it's just, yeah, it's not great. So it definitely has a lot of
I
problems. And I kind of wish that, yeah, I hope that if when they take another stab at this for the second game, that it really, they kind of really tighten it up a bit.
I'm trying like how do you feel about story and that kind of stuff?
I think it was interesting. I think that it very like again like another very Dark Souls influence like story is very much like implied. Read it in item descriptions. That was actually one thing I did like a lot was that some of the item description like extra text is hidden unless you had like a high stat value in a certain thing. So like if you had high Inferno or high I can't remember what the other one is the whole holy thing Faith or whatever the equivalent is.
Inferno Radiance.
Radiant,
No,
yeah. So if you
Radiance,
had
yeah.
like high Radiant or high Inferno, you would be able to read extra text about some of the items related to those factions. So if you're like interested in world building and like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and the end, like the secret end, like the Umbral ending is like doing that without a guide would be ridiculous. Like the path you have to follow to understand that. So I think it's like it's really interesting, but I feel like the execution is where the problem is, not the concept.
Yeah. Oh man, hopefully they can. Like, I do want more Souls co-op experiences.
Yes, that is one thing I definitely want to call out is that their co-op experience is the best in any Souls game I've ever played. You know, you
Yeah.
don't have any of this like only being able to summon for some areas or only being able to jump into some games or having like the soul level thing of trying to match up with people. You can just have a co-op partner and play through the entire game. It's fantastic. I had a really good time with.
And then having a guy like Stubby as well.
Yes, obviously Stubby is an absolute mensch and just kind of has an understanding of this game that is unreal. And just I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near as quickly through it without him. So a huge thank you to Stubby. Yeah, so hopefully I'll finish that this weekend. I'm going to have to do some grinding for some armor, I guess.
Yeah. Too many playthroughs.
Yeah.
You worn the ball man out. I can't. I need him for my Evil West completion.
Yeah, true. We've also got our leaderboards. In third place, we have our Thrash Forever with 17,655. In second, we have Northern Lass with 20,384. But blowing them all out of the water is Mr. Mad Eye Pad Eye with 45,469. What the fuck, Mad Eye? What have you been doing? I know a lot of title updates have come
Minecraft
out.
Windows.
Yeah, Minecraft Windows apparently is the answer. So, yeah, good
I'm
work.
looking at this. I'm interested. Let's call out the baby games.
Well, there's a lot of title updates that have come out recently, so it doesn't surprise me actually. But that is a huge jump between first and second place. Cameron, do you want to read through our completions?
Yeah. All right. So Left 4 Legacy did Olympic Games 2020. Shane did Darker Skies. Rapture did Dark Knights with Poe and Moreau. Nataleta did Madden 2017. L4D Pills did Hellblade 2. Shadowed Slide did Battlefield 4. Just Jake did Condemned with its lovely 970 game score.
Still can't believe
And
they
Drake
never
Frame
fixed that.
did Fable 3.
Yeah, nice work, everyone. Good job. A little bit of a quiet week this week, but I can see people playing a lot of DLC at the moment. We've also got the word challenge. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, guys, so we'll try and power through this. I come up with a new game. I'm not going to tell you what it is, obviously, but if you don't know what the word challenge is, I come up with a game, you go on our Discord and guess it in the channel, and if you get it right, you win a prize. I give a new clue away each week, and this first clue is that water is your best friend in this game.
What, in The Witness?
It's not the witness. It should be the other clue. It's an implied clue. It's not the wetness either, if anyone's going to try and be fucking smart about it, okay? All right? Yeah, I fucking know you people. You, do not come at the king when it comes to puns, all right? I will fucking destroy you. Anyway, we got our Patreon, patreon.com/HallofGamers. A huge thank you to Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natolinetta, Mad Lefty, Admiral Awesome, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavalier07, Old Mate Clown, Mark B, McLovin Legend, Mace J, Left for Legacy, and McNulty. we literally couldn't afford to do the show without you guys. So thank you all so much. If you want to help support the show, any extra content that we do, we did a bit of a throwdown last week around kind of matching up the 360 generation against the PS3, and we're going to argue about what have the best games. Jake is going to be on the PlayStation side of things. So if you want to send hate mail, he's the one to talk to. But yeah, we definitely want to set something up like that once we're all happy and healthy again.
There's a few PS3 games that I really want. Like I've always wanted to play Resistance 4, man.
Sure, and I want to play I want to play Metal Gear Solid 4 again, but it is what it is.
There's kind of chooses.
And that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show. As always, Xbox Hall of Gamers on Twitch. Come say hi, hang out. I also put this up as audio and video. So if you missed the VOD for whatever reason, or you're an audio only listener, come check us out on YouTube. Char does a wonderful thumbnail and usually helps me come up with a really stupid punny name. So big thanks to them. Cameron, have you got anything you want to shill?
No, just listen to this podcast like 5 times. Thanks.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, give us your Prime subscription, etc., etc. You know the deal by now, guys. Rate, review, subscribe, etc., etc.
Help me with my co-op games. That's the only reason we do a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's to press gang people into playing games with us, for sure. All right, well, that's episode 140. Thank you all for joining us. I'll catch you next week. See you later.
Bye, everyone.